Hello.
What up, though?
Welcome to Woman Crush
Every day,
where we discuss queer media, especially when it is black and especially when it is woman. I am your host, Tang B, aka Sean B Scribe.
I am your host, Allison, aka Al Woo.
And today we are going to talk about Twenties Season 2, Episode 4. But first, we're going to give shout out to our new subscriber. Shout out to... Oh, why my phone trying to play me right now?
It's trying to play you so hard. I'm seeing it.
Emma Boogie.
Emma Boogie, what up? Thank you so much for joining us and hopping in this conversation. So, yeah, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you. And also, we see Jamaica Swin in the chat.
Shout out.
Shout out Jamaica Swin, always chiming in and kicking it with us each week. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Appreciate. Also, if you were a fan of the L Word and Pippa and Bet together, check out the Pipette fan page by Jamaica Swin. Thank you so much for that. So we're going to jump into the episode, but I want y'all to know that after the episode, we have a special treat. Because we got to have an interview with...
Yeah, Crystal, the sound yogi. Crystal, this was really amazing to sit down with this amazing Detroit native, multi-talented, dimensional artist, does sound. But we reconnected because she was a part of the crew in putting together the set design for the after show with B. Scott. So as we're watching 20s, if you're watching 20s, right after the episode, you see the recap review with B. Scott, and that after show, she helped put that thing together. And it was like, dope. Hey, that's fire. Let's talk about it, because we know that there's so many folks who watch this show who are interested in figuring out how to get involved with production and how to connect those dots. And it's difficult as black folk, as queer identified folks, those opportunities aren't always there. So it's so important to have conversations with folks who are making it happen. And Crystal is definitely one of those people. And yeah, so we had a really, really great talk, and I hope y'all stick around for it. We're going to just do a snippet of it during our live stream, but right the full episode is actually, it should be live right now because we set it to go up live at 5. So after we finish this live stream, go ahead and check out that full length interview in our page and all that good stuff.
And make sure you share it so that other people can get the information, because Crystal is doing some really cool stuff in the city as well, in the city of Detroit, and we want to make sure people could connect it. But also people all over are able to connect with this. So definitely like, subscribe, share, and check out that snippet after the show. And with that, we should get into the episode.
Let's do it.
Let's start off with favorite moments.
Are you going first?
I'll go first.
All right.
My favorite moment was when Chuck and Marie were at the church, or kind of whatever the place was, getting the marriage counseling from the pastor. First of all, shout out to a non-binary pastor on a show.
Right?
That's really dope.
Right?
Feel like you never see that. Shout out to Chuck and Marie for being people who are going to get married in a church that's allied. I love when people are making those decisions. It's not the decision everybody has to make. Everybody has different things that they want to do for their wedding. But that's dope. So I love that Chuck and Marie have to answer these questions where they've done this separate questionnaire. And as the pastor is going through it, the pastor is pointing out ways in which, they are not quite aligned. And on this comfort with talking about your sexuality with your partner, there's this, Marie is totally silent, and Chuck is like, not really comfortable. And there's this moment where Chuck knows, like, the pastor has pointed out that Chuck has crossed out an answer about his comfort of talking about his sexuality with his wife. And as the pastor's talking, as Marie is, responding, you can see Chuck's face. It's just like, oh my gosh, now I'm here with this queer pastor. They must know. They must be able to read what's happening for me.
Feeling clocked right
and,
there.
Yes, and I need to have an answer for why I can't talk to my wife about something around sex. And like, am I about to get outed in this moment? What am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to jump out of this wedding. I'm just going to flee. And so he says, I don't think we should get married. And when Marie asks why, and he finally is just like, okay, I may as well I'm bisexual. And the moment that she says, I know, the way she says, I know, it was actually so loving. It was so simple and quiet and loving. And you could see that he just felt seen in that moment. Like, okay, you do see me. You do love me. You do know me. And I feel like that's part of loving somebody, is being able to really know the fullness of them. And so I just thought that was a beautiful scene. There were a lot of cop-outs that I could come back to, because I think Marie is excited about opening this relationship, not for Chuck's freedom and benefit, but for her own. But I also think it's healthy for everybody to get a little bit more free. So I love that scene. I'm loving this thing that's happened with Chuck. This is woman crush every day. But it's also, it's wonderful to see freedom in other queer people's stories and experiences.
Yeah, no, totally. I do think that was a beautiful scene. I think it means a lot, and I feel like I kind of want to go back to that scene, because there's so many moments too, for that last question that we do every week about where does this fit in the queer canon. So that scene in particular hit on so many things for that question for me.
We're gonna come back.
I'm like, it was a flame scene though. I think it was a really, really dope scene that just needs to be seen by so many folks in the community. And just easing up the tensions on male sexuality and what that's supposed to look like. It's just cool. Like, let's start that dialogue, so that was fun. But I have to say, my favorite scene was the last scene with Ida B and Hattie. And I think for me, it was just about relatability. Like, I felt like I have been in that place where it's like, oh, you only want me at certain times. Okay. You don't want to mess up your image because of what you got going on. So I love the way that Hattie was just so direct with her. In terms of like, I'm calling all of your shit. Like, or at least if I'm not going to call it, I'm going to question you on it. I'm going to stand in like how I'm feeling right now and say, but make it make sense, because I get it. You have all these excuses or whatever, but I love the way that she was just so real with her right then. In ways that I'm like, I wasn't always that real. When I was in my 20s, bro, I was not. They're like, what are you doing? I mean, I think in ways I would push back, but like those power dynamics too. I think the fact that Hattie is so willing to stand in her truth, regardless of the fact that Ida B holds this, power over her in terms of social structure and in the industry, that she's just relentless on saying, no, you gonna love me. If you gonna love me, you gonna motherfucking love me. And I love that. So that's why that was my favorite scene. But I'm looking at these comments and I want to acknowledge, I think Nia getting verified was a hilarious moment.
That was cute. And her telling them, like, I'm not going to go up on my prices, but if I do, don't talk shit in my comments.
Yeah, for real. So, I see you, Jag T and Chervelle on that. Those were, we're all in the same room on those two scenes in particular. Like,
oh man, but that scene with Hattie and Ida B, I feel like what queer person has not gone through that moment? Like, if you are out and you are queer, when have you not gone through that moment where somebody is like, "Ooh, I'm just trying to be quiet about this," or "I'm trying to hide it a little bit,"
right?
Or "I'm gonna pull a power move on you and you'll be happy because I did this big spectacular thing," but actually this is gaslighting the fact that I'm not willing to take the risk
you have
that
to
you're
be
willing
a secret.
to take.
Yeah. It's so stressful. It's
is.
making me think of like, oh man, that's what that was.
I
Going back in my body, like,
do it anymore. Yeah. That was triggering for me. I was like, we've been here, Hattie. Don't do it. Because as soon as, oh my gosh, I feel like when we see Hattie walk into the space, Hattie and Ida B, and it's this beautiful setup, and there's like fireplace, and it's romantic and it's cute. The first thought it should be, wow, you did this big thing for me. But my first thought was, wow, she's hiding Hattie again.
Yeah. And
when that's your reaction and you're supposed to be coming into something that you thought was for you, like that text message hyped up that whole date, and then to get there and realize like, okay, we're having dinner, but we're having dinner in a closet.
Yeah. You know what? That just reminded me too, because they set that date up while she got fired. Like, Hattie is getting fired in the moment. Also, that was you commented on that shot. They had like this Dutch angle shot of Hattie texting Ida B and on the phone with the dude from BDE, and that was just a cute shot. But I also love about this show how even like the small scenes, they do a really good job of making sure that we're moving the story forward in a way that just it makes sense. It doesn't draw us away. It's just like, oh, okay, that's how we're gonna tie this in, and then we'll see them later. So yeah, shout out the writing on that, and just overall on the show,
and the cinematography, because it just looks great.
It's a good show.
Looks great.
Yeah, it's a good show. We like this.
All right. All right. So in the comments, Ida B still has her walls up, and I thought Hattie would change that, but so wrong. I still think there's time. There's time for Hattie to change that. I think Hattie is pushing and making those little changes that Ida B needs to make, and I think Ida B is doing the same thing to Hattie on the other side. Like, there's a place you need to get to, and I think they are helping each other. It's just so painful. It's so painful when you have to be like, oh my God. Like, you know how an iceberg gets changed by the rocks? You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So an iceberg like shapes the ground around it, but it also is shaped by the things that it goes up against. And to have to be that other person in a relationship that's helping you change, but I gotta get all scarred up in the process, that is that shit I don't like.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I man, that scene, there's so much more digging in that scene that I want to do, but we got to get to question number 2.
And we got to say what up to Dr. Michelle Johnson. What up?
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. No doubt. But question number 2, woman crush. Who is your woman crush of this episode? Yeah, this week.
Okay, my woman crush is, I keep saying it, it's Nia. Nia is my woman crush this week.
Every week it's Nia.
Every week it's Nia.
Nia bad every week.
It's gonna be Nia or Hattie. Nia this week is the woman crush because just the confidence when Ben was trying to tell her like you should play simpler characters, and she's like, no, because I need a chance to grow. And she was just like really gracious and giving him any time at all. But the way that she just stood in her truth, the whole time, I was like, sexy.
Thank you for saying that.
Sexy.
Because I actually feel like in so many ways, I'm not sweating Ben, so that's why I can't really put that at favorite scene. But you want to talk about like dog ass moment in Black writing and television to say like, well, keep giving him this goofy shit, you know? And she's like, but how do I grow? Yeah. That was so beautifully stated and just simple. We tied it all up to make it make sense. Like, yeah, you know, Black folk want more, man. Black folk don't want that same canned humor that we see. Like, you know, it's just slapstick, goofy shit. You know, they can only go so far. And not to like completely bag it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a moment, you know, that how do folks grow? How do folks, and like life is about growing and evolving and doing all that. So I am kind of backtracking, but that was a very, very close second on favorite scene, favorite moment. Yeah. That shit was fire to me.
We got to come back to that scene too, because there's so much more there. Anyway, who was your woman crush this week?
You know, Nia in that maroon and white dress was ridiculous, but I guess that was it.
It was
actually it was Nia in that maroon and white dress. Lord have mercy. Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry.
All right. So what can stay and what can go?
Okay. So what can stay is Black men being open about their sexuality,
here for it,
and can still be like fathers and, you know, involved in family. That can stay. We can keep going with that. I would love to see how that works. I don't know how much it's going to work, because I also feel like Marie, I mean, does she want to love Chuck, or does she want to be like best friends with Chuck? Because the way she fantasizes, like, she really goes into deep lust about these other dudes, and she just really likes Chuck, you know? So I want hopefully another piece of information comes into the story that makes that healthier, you know, makes that relationship fuller in the ways that I feel like they want to support each other.
Yeah.
So I think that can stay. What can go is Ben. I didn't like the way he was talking to Nia at the bar. And what I mean by that, it was a specific line when he was like, you know, you're just calm. Like,
yeah,
you were calm. And I'm like, see, this is coming from the guy who's like using this white woman and all this weird stuff, and wanting to dumb down stories for Black audiences.
Yeah. And,
you know, his read on Nia still feels very like fetish in a way that I'm like, and just calling a Black woman like, oh, I liked you because you're calm. It's like, she is calm.
She is, but,
and she's, you know, but like,
it's like an energy feeder.
That can
like,
go.
No, weird.
Like,
it's weird.
Stop being weird, bro. So that can go.
Yeah, I just don't trust Ben, period. And plus, he's still not quite done with his girl. It doesn't seem like he's fully broken it off with her, and yet you talking to Nia now and trying to make that happen. Yeah, I don't know. Ben can actually go. He could go. I'm done with Ben. But I do like Nia having somebody to kind of like practice her confidence chops on before we, you know, get her other love interest coming back into the picture, which I predict is going to happen before the season is out. What can go? Ida B, Hyde, and Hattie. That's gotta go.
Spit.
Y'all gotta go on a real date somewhere out with people. And it's not even about being out and being seen and having to be a couple. It's like, would you get lunch with me if I were your assistant? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now that I'm your girl, you can't get lunch with me? That's raggedy.
Yeah.
That's raggedy.
That can go.
That can go. What can stay is Idina's reading group and a workshop group, and Hattie needs to get it together, read the scripts, be a part of the group, because Idina has just been stand-up. I think she's just been a stand-up community member. She invited you in. She's trying to help you out. She's trying to get you to a better script. She's trying to get you with some more friends. She's trying to help you. And you just need to take what she's offering. Bars. Whatever she's serving, you need to take it.
Bars. And, yeah, that can totally stay. And also, I gotta go ahead and give Idina a little bit of some honorable mention woman crush too, because her at home, it's like, oh, I like your little cute little house, and I like your glasses. I like that you run in a reading group. You is so smart. That's like, I love Idina. But yeah, boom. So I would say that.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So where does this fit in the queer canon?
Oh man,
not so much.
So yeah, I think we've talked a lot about the Chuck and Marie thing, which I think is monumental, dope, played so well by both of the actors. They're all of the actors in that scene, and just continuing to see Marie and Chuck over time. I just think they do a really great job. But for me, I think seeing this story of a masculine of center person, that hiding, like, oh man. And I'm looking in the chat too, where Tramel's like, where Hattie says there's a way to be discreet without hiding. Yeah. And spit.
Really.
Spit. But that is such a hurdle for so many people, and to have that conversation or to put that out too on TV, like, it's so many studs getting hidden, bro. It's so many hidden studs. The Secret Life of Studs. Like, that should be a book. Y'all, The Secret Life of Bees. Secret Life of Studs. Like, it's tough. So, I don't know. I think that as just seeing that and continuing to push that conversation and fight for our presence in media and articulate it well, that really just challenges the status quo. Huge for me. I don't know. Yeah, I think that where that fits, let's keep going. Let's keep digging. I love it. I'm here for it. I love you, Hattie.
Yeah.
Represent.
Call her out.
And I wouldn't even say like I feel like a stud necessarily. I wouldn't say that I categorize myself as a stud, but like reality is like, I know what I look like. You know what I'm saying? I know how people see me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? When I'm going out in places, like, yeah, and this happens to a lot of people who look like me, that I can't stop how I'm seen to other people or how you're going to read me based on, it's like, I'm being myself. I'm doing what feels good for my life and my identity, but that means so many things to people. Like, everywhere I go, black as hell, gay as hell, and those are walls. Those are often walls for people. And to have somebody who is smart, funny, young, still learning, like able to see those. So when I say young, not even necessarily in age, but I mean it's in age. Obviously, it's 20s too. But like, just you can get the opportunity to see this person grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hattie has a lot of growing to do.
So, you know what I mean? Like, that's why it makes it so much more important for this queer canon to be like, yes, we're starting with this person who has a lot of growing to do, but also is already so well evolved and, just so profound already. Like,
I feel like that comes to my point. I want to point out, Jamaica Suin in the comments said, Ida B even admitted she was a lesbian, so why the walls? And I think there's this beautiful juxtaposition that's happening between the story of Hattie and the story of Ida B. And it kind of goes, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, so ride the journey with me. So
we are ready.
When strap in.
That's right.
So when Nia is talking with Ben, and Ben is like, just do the simple stories, and Hattie's like, Nia's like, I want complicated stories, I want nuanced stories, I need to grow. It's like, we as audiences also need to grow. And it's not so black and white, everybody's experience. And so when I think about how Nia is saying, like, I want to be complicated, and I want to grow, and how audiences need to see these different stories and how that can grow them, it takes me back to my own experience of like growing up and watching media and seeing like lesbian relationships, queer relationships are, one, exclusively white, and when they are black, it is devastation and abandonment and destruction of the family and all this trauma.
Yes.
And I feel like that is the story that Ida B is coming with, is this history of bad tales, whereas Hattie is coming in with this very different experience of like, I have to be my unapologetic self, and I'm not abandoned. I have a great relationship with my mother. I have friends. I don't quite have a job, but I've had opportunities to have jobs. I'm not good at keeping them because I'm a little irresponsible still. But they have these two different places of trauma and privilege that they're coming from, and then the story is further nuanced by colorism, by classism, by age, and it makes this beautiful, complicated story where I'm really happy to see these two characters side by side, where it's like, yeah, Ida B does identify as a lesbian, but what world has she crafted for herself that she has to kind of break out of? What does it mean for her career to be somebody who is saying like, no, I'm going to be unapologetic of that. I've built this image and now I have to break it. Whereas Hattie is like, no, this is my image 24/7, 100% of the time. And that's how I'm coming into this situation, is I don't get why you're not where I'm at. The nuance is gorgeous and it's complicated. I feel for Ida B, but I still agree with Hattie. You're gonna have to take me on a real date.
Yeah, sometimes, you just have to bust it wide open. Like, you just gotta, sometimes you just gotta bust it wide open.
Open.
So that is, I mean, I don't know. Are there any other things that you wanted to say about that? Or anything else in the comments maybe that I missed? I want to try to
come into the comments a little bit, see what's going on there.
I totally agree, Sharmel. The generational difference also pushes that dynamic. You know what? That is so real, because, you know, I do feel like the kids these days, the way that they can approach their sexuality, like it's wild. You know, I don't want to say wild. Actually, it's beautiful. When I say wild, I mean, I'm just really being reflective of my upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was a kid, you could just be gay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if you were gay and people thought you were gay or whatever, you wasn't just going around telling everybody, yes, I am gay, you know?
Yeah.
And I also wonder, and we kind of spoke about this too, like what the younger generation too, how they're looking at gay labels, like in hard defined labels, in terms of, you know, I think that is kind of becoming a murky territory for, you know, if you're gay or lesbian. I feel like the younger generation is opting more and pushing more towards queer and like an identity that's not so locked in. Like, you have to prove something all the time. So it's like we're seeing different versions and levels of people feeling like what they have to prove for their generation, you know?
Yeah. And it can make it seem like something as simple as take me on a date is not a big deal. Mm-hmm. It's not a big deal, but it's like y'all are dealing with very different hurdles. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, because I'm like, oh, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
I was thinking about the fact that, like, Chuck and Marie are at this progressive church that they're doing counseling with a non-binary pastor. What?
Right.
You know, how would that have been a part of Ida B's reality in any way that wasn't secret? You know, even though we know there were people, you know, there have always been spiritual people who are non-binary, you know? That's like always been a thing, but that would have been something that's quiet, that's done in your community, that's done between you and your friends. That wouldn't have been something where, you know, you show up to a church and we gonna legally get married here. It's two different realities that they're living in, and they're living in them together.
Yes. You reminded me of, well, you know, this past weekend we went to go see Set It Off live, the stage play Jacarius Johnson presents.
Yes.
And I want to do that because I want to see this gay ass story on stage. I want to see how we do this and where we are. And honestly, it was so fulfilling to see DeBrat's gay ass on this stage being extra gay. You know what I mean?
Extra gay.
And everybody with the shits. And I thought it was really interesting too, because I think there were weird moments in the script where it's like you are seeing how the Black community talks about sexuality. So like in a way it was kind of like, that could be more progressive. But then at the same time, it's so progressive that Cleo is our star. Like that so we are here to see Cleo.
Yeah.
Like we are here for her to talk her shit. The ways in which, you know, she was like, I have crushes on you. Like this queer ass story has been around in like Black culture for a long time, but it's still like the levels in which we present and have to present and identify in the generations. It's just amazing.
It's changed.
It's so amazing to see.
We got first of all, the brat is out.
DeBrat is out
with a whole reality show about her and her wife, like the whole thing. And when Set It Off came out, the brat was not out. The brat was trying to convince people, like, leave me alone.
The original Cleo. Let's talk about the original Cleo. Or we don't have to. But you know what I'm saying?
We're not going to go there.
We don't even have to go there because we already...
We love you, Queen.
I mean, it's so many levels to it. You know what I'm saying?
Levels,
but it's like, and we see the levels, and I think this show, 20s, shows us a lot of those levels.
Actually, let's talk about the original Cleo, played by Queen Latifah, because I do love how that brings into, like, there's a difference between being... what was the line? Discreet and
hiding.
And I think that's a thing there where it's just like we've been able to see what love has looked like in the various ways in Queen Latifah's life. And there wasn't a hiding. There was never an official proclamation, but it also was like, I'm not hiding though. Y'all can see.
Yeah.
You see what's going on. You see what I'm working with here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this episode just brought out so many beautiful conversations about just the nuances of age, of class, of color, of sexuality, of how you present, of gender presentation, of just everything, of relationship. You know, the fact that, oh, that was the other thing that we talked about was Marie accepting Chuck as a bisexual man. And when do we ever see this in the community from black straight women?
I want to know who are the straight women who are like, hell no, ain't no way, ain't no way, he gay, what, he bisexual. Like, I love it. I love to see. I love that I know that conversation is happening in the world, but this show and these moments help push the dialogue to not say, you know, like, it's not even about Chuck being gay.
No.
Like, it's not even about that.
It's about Chuck being honest.
Spit.
It's about Chuck being able to say how he feels, what he's wanted, what he's experienced. And I feel like there's a number of shows that are really doing this. Like, that was kind of a storyline on Grownish this season. I know Insecure has dealt with like bisexuality, polyamory. There's quite a few shows written by black women and black people that are really addressing how we need to free black people as far as sexuality. And it's great to see. I'm loving it.
Yo, freedom, it's a long road, you know, and to see that the journey continues, and it continues so beautifully and so confidently. I know we love to be part. We love to see it and love to have these conversations. So, we've gotten through all our questions, but I feel like we have to acknowledge the fact that we are both rocking these Woman Crush everyday sweaters, and I know that y'all notice, and I hope y'all see them and are rocking with them. But we have made these sweaters in order to, one, connect with the folks who are watching the show. If you have a Woman Crush every day and all that stuff and want to support, I don't know, we want to have a way to continue to do what we do and have this opportunity. So we created this merch and we have it out there. We have a website now, and we're just getting the ball rolling on trying to make what we're doing self-sustaining and continue the conversation. So we will put the website in the description so you can find out if you want to get a Woman Crush everyday sweater. Tap in with us.
Great Christmas presents. You know you got to get it for all your people.
Exactly. Get it definitely way before Christmas time. So tap in with us there. The next thing, we are going to get into the interview that we have with Crystal. So thanks so much for tuning in and watching us. But we're done talking for today. But we hope that y'all aren't done getting all this beautiful information from folks who had the opportunity to work on this project with Lena Waithe and B. Scott and these icons in the community. So please stick around and watch this little teaser. And
then check out the extended interview,
the whole interview
afterwards.
So
and check for us next week. We might have some surprises coming. So look us up on Instagram. Follow us, Woman Crush everyday, and keep up with what we got going on.
Yes, indeed, y'all.
All right. Enjoy
Peace.
this interview with Crystal, the Sound Yogi. Well, welcome to Woman Crush Everyday, where we discuss queer media, especially when it is black and especially when it is woman. I am your host, Tang B, aka Sean B. Scribe.
I am your co-host, Allison, aka Al Woo.
And we have a special guest on today. Give it up for Crystal, the Sound Yogi.
Yeah.
We're getting to a little bit about 20s. How did you get involved with set design for the after show?
Okay, so after Dave Chappelle, where I was PAing for the first time in my life, and like I was one of those people. So see, this is how that's transferring. And I got an opportunity to the set designer for the Dave Chappelle show had worked for Dave for all of his career. So he had done this for over 16 years, I believe, with him, and he just looked at me and said, "Hey, you know, you have a lot of qualities that I think it would be really good for helping us design these sets. Have you ever done that?" And I was like, "No, but I do notice irregularities when I'm watching television all the time." You know, I was like, I see, like, if it's something on the table and it's moved from a scene that doesn't make sense, Queens. I saw something on Queens the other day when Brandy was singing. Okay, so Brandy was singing, right, and then these people was in the background, and then she stopped, she was still singing, and they was gone, right? And then she was still singing, and then they came back, and I was like, oh, that's a bad cut.
Oh, yeah,
so
that continuity.
Yeah, there you go.
That continuity.
Yeah, so that's somebody's job, you know what I'm saying? To notice that, whether that's in the edit or right there on the set, you know, but usually that's type of situation probably in the edit. So it's like, that's a gift. And we have to recognize that in our kids early instead of, oh, they being picky or, you know, whatever. They show signs of that, because I know I did. And when his name's Bruce, so when Bruce was like, hey, you want to come to L.A., I bet on myself. I took the last of what I had. Like, I was at bare crumbs. It's the pandemic, you know, I'm moving around. I'm like, man, you know what? I got to take this chance. I got to go. And so I didn't even know what set it was for. I had no idea what we were going to be working on. I literally had a sketch, and that was it. He had sent me a sketch of what it was going to look like that he had hand-drawn sitting there doing the Dave Chappelle show, and it was beautiful. Like, it was a beautiful sketch, and I was just like, I actually have the original, so I'll get y'all a picture of it, but I made him sign it and everything because it was special to me. And when I got to L.A., he sent me a text. He said, this is for 20s, and I was like, oh, I watched that show, I think, a couple of times. And I still hadn't even associated it with Lena Waithe for real. So I was still stuck there. And I mean, I got there on the set and it was blank. And it's like a blank canvas. We're in a white room. We had doors that didn't match, you know, a chandelier that was just randomly to the side and just a bunch of stuff. And I'm just looking like, this is going to turn into that? Like, how, man?
Okay.
Like, I see the vision, though, Bruce. And just watching the process of that, that was the first time I was able to paint. And that was something I wanted to do my entire life that the men in my life told me I couldn't do.
Ooh.
So it was like, whoa, it was deeper. Here I am having this guy who's done so many sets. Like, he's done so many shows. He's worked with Stan Lathan. And, you know, this is not Lathan daddy. You know, this is the Cosby show.
A heavyweight show.
This is right-hand man. Mm-hmm. So he designs his sets. And I'm like, and here I am, sitting here now. And then B. Scott comes out with this beautiful energy. Like, that's just like, and I know the history of what's going on here. Like, you're not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. No, for multiple reasons, according to society, according to even the law, between things that happen between B. Scott and BET. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just so many layers of that. And I was like, this is respect, and this is showing me who Lena Waithe is as a person, because this is as per request. Yeah. You know, these are things that's happening, and I'm like, this is how you put your people on. This is how you have your people's back. And it got very emotional on that set, especially the last day.
Oh, okay. I want to pause you right there because we definitely going to come back to that. Check it out in the extended interview. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the_sound_yogi.
Awesome. And so we're going to come back, learn more about your experience on set, and definitely dive more into, you know, what you got going on for your next projects.
Let's go.
Yeah.